I'm Senator Bob Huff with my capital comment for the week of May 5th, 2014. A new report from California's nonpartisan legislative analysts finds that California is more than $340 billion in debt. Just when you thought the budget situation improving, right? The report from legislative analyst Mac Taylor lists all of California's debt, including the wall of debt that Governor Brown highlighted when he first took office. How much is $340 billion? In the legislative analyst's words, quote, "It is nearly 2.5 times the amount of state general fund and special fund spending in 2013-14, end quote. In other words, if we divided this debt among all the state's residents, each man, woman, and child would owe the state of California $8,500. So how did California get so deeply in debt? Well, there's several factors. First, we went through a bad recession. Second, the legislature spent what it didn't have and borrowed heavily to make up the difference. And finally, nobody planned for the future. The report finds that California's liabilities, or what we owe, fall into three major categories: retirement, infrastructure, and budgetary. It would not come as shock to anyone to learn that state retirement liabilities, that's what the state owes for pension and health benefits of state workers, makes up the bulk of that $340 billion. It's about $217 billion according to the legislative analysts, but there are others who suggest that figure is even higher. The report further finds that the CalSTRS program, or California State Teachers Retirement System, is in the worst shape with an unfunded liability of $73.7 billion. Worse yet, if nothing is done, CalSTRS will be broke in 30 years. Things are so bad over at CalSTRS that even with the past 3 years of solid investment returns at 12% or more, they can't stem the red ink. The unfunded retirement liability still grew by 14% over that 3-year period. The silver lining in all of this bad news, if there is such a thing, is that state lawmakers are taking actions to address some of this debt, but not all of it. The LAO says the governor's proposed budget for the new fiscal year that starts in July, for example, takes a step in the right direction by paying down the debt owed to schools and community colleges. The legislative analyst also believes the governor's plan to pay down economic recovery bonds and special fund loans is also a move in the right direction. But the legislative analyst report concludes that more must be done. It recommends that the legislature and the governor address the CalSTRS budget shortfall as a top priority. The report recommends fully funding the retirement program for the next 30 years, adding that this will require, quote, significant, ongoing annual funding, end quote. The legislative analyst also recommends building a strong budget reserve when economic times are good and resist the siren song to increase spending on state programs or a massive investment in new programs. Will the legislature and the governor listen? That's anyone's guess. In some cases, lawmakers haven't listened, which is why we find ourselves in the financial mess we face today. I'm Senator Bob Huff. Thanks for joining me for my Capitol comment.